that you're a self-made man. The friends they all can call and slap you on the back and say, please. But I can see it makes no sense at all. It's so hard to pick myself off the floor, and I don't think I can take it anymore. Times to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Yes, I'm stuck in the middle with you. Stuck in the middle with you. I am stuck in the middle with you.
Well, hello and welcome to Wednesday evening at Restore Live. Restore Live going out to Restore Live on Facebook, also to the British Unionist People's Voice on Facebook, and to Restore UK on YouTube. And welcome. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Clowns to the left of us, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. And you'll have seen those pictures on that little video clip there with the Ulster Unionist Party. The Ulster Unionist Party, with friends like that, who needs enemies? I'm going to say that again. With friends like that, who needs enemies? I'm going to read from something that Jim Allister had posted last evening, and it was actually sent to me. And I think that it's important that we read this for a bit of context to that little video clip that I had just played there. Shameful Unionist capitulation on Irish in Assembly, statement by TUV leader Jim Allister. This evening, the Assembly will vote on a motion brought by the Committee on Procedures, which will result in MLAs getting simultaneous translation of speeches delivered in Irish or Ulster Scots through headsets in the Assembly chamber. This is preposterous and deliberate squander where every member speaks English. Now remember that. Let's just understand what these people are going to be doing. In the Northern Ireland Assembly, they're going to be putting headphones on, and if people want to speak in Irish when they can perfectly well speak in English, well, the whole process of the Assembly is going to have to go through something that a lady called Shirley McMichael had said to me. She was involved in the policing board, and she says when this goes on and when translators are translating what someone could say and yet everyone understands English, she says that what happens is that proceedings go on for a very long time and you actually lose the will to live. Now, Shirley McMichael would probably be one of the people that could actually say that with her hand on her heart and with authority. And why could Shirley McMichael say that? Because she was involved with the policing board, and she was involved in 3 events. From my recollection, one down around was at Newry or Armagh, one in Belfast, and also one in Londonderry. And that's what she said. She says what happens is that the meetings go on for a very long time and everyone loses the will to live. Now, at a time when each and every one in that assembly can speak English. Now, this isn't without cost. I heard figures of 330,000 a year, somewhere in that bracket, or was it even more? But anyway, that remains to be seen. Costing a lot of money each year to be able to do this here. Or was it a lot more money? I mean, if anyone knows the exact figure, if they stick up that figure on the screen for me, because we don't like to give false information. But anyway, as Jim Allister would have said, all the Unionists on the committee voted against bringing this proposed to the Assembly chamber. And last week I called on Unionist MLAs to unite and sign a petition of concern to block the move. Over the last few days, I have sought to win the support of fellow Unionists in the Assembly to block this, but I regret those efforts have not been successful. Indeed, the BBC are reporting that far from forcing a cross-community vote on the issue, Edmund Poots actually argued for his own MLAs to abstain, whilst most unionists will vote against the motion later today. No one should be in any doubt about the fact that their unionist representatives had it within their power to block these proposals. They choose not to do so. We hear much about the need for mutual respect and partnership being the only way forward, yet these proposals look set to be rammed through the Assembly without cross-community consent. Now, you'll have seen in that little video clip that I just played, you'll have seen the clowns in the Ulster Unionist Party. It turned out that Edwin Poots didn't actually, he voted against it, as did the rest of the DUP. But the Ulster Unionist Party, well, what did they do? What did those clowns do? Well, they joined with the other team. They joined with the enemies of Northern Ireland. They joined with the people who want to destroy Northern Ireland, who have forced a border in the North Channel, who have separated us from the United Kingdom because of the threat of violence. They joined with the IRA Sinn Féin, they joined the other team to score goals against that which they claim to represent. Those people, they don't deserve a vote from anyone within British unionism. Now, am I saying that they don't have their place? Well, the only place that them people have is to try to mop up the votes that would go to Alliance Party. And for that reason, they need to stay in place, but only for that, because those people would see the end of British unionism and by extension, the end of Northern Ireland's place in the United Kingdom, and by extension, as I say, the total end to the United Kingdom. They wanted to remain part of the Union, but not the Union of the United Kingdom. They wanted to remain in the European Union. That's what they got people to vote for in the Brexit referendum. With friends like that, who needs enemies? I thought I would start there. I thought I would start with the Ulster Unionist Party, the clowns in the Ulster Unionist Party, who literally, are they really unionists? Are they unionists at all? Or are they simply, have they become a party of virtue signalers? Have they placed themselves in the position whereby that they have to side with diversity? They have to side with the European Union. They have to side with a lot of things right now that mean us the most harm, including joining with the enemies of British unionism here in Northern Ireland, effectively people joining the other team to score goals against that which they claim to represent. What clowns, what idiots. Anyway, enough of that. We're here tonight, and we'll call the title of this screen, it was about British Unionists in Northern Ireland. We have nothing left to give. Simply, we have nothing left to give. And when you hear people like Naomi Long saying that politics is the art of compromise, we have nothing left to compromise on. Any more compromises, any more inch by inch, incrementally, handing over our Britishness, destroying our Britishness, hiding our Britishness, putting our Britishness into the background and withdrawing from our part in the United Kingdom. Any more of that, and we will soon be no more. So a message to the DUP this evening is that we have nothing left to give. I don't expect any less of the Ulster Unionist Party, because they are a party of virtue signalers. Nothing more, nothing less. I don't expect any different from them. But a message to the DUP, again, I say it and I stress it quite clearly, that we have nothing more to give. And I would suspect that in the coming days, there's something that's going to happen within the Assembly. And, we have the British government talking about removing the Irish language out of the equation here in Northern Ireland and actually implementing how do I say this here? An IRA language act. And don't let anybody tell you that it's not an Irish language act. Don't let anybody tell you that. And when I say IRA language act, well, those people have weaponized Irish language. Those people will use Irish language to destabilise. Those people will use Irish language to make this place totally unworkable. And if the DUP, if they want to side with that, if they want to turn a blind eye, or if they want to say, well, it wasn't our fault, it was the British government's fault, I have news for the DUP. They won't have my support. And I understand, and I've talked to a lot of people, is that people are saying, how can we ever support that if that's the way things goes? So there's two scenarios which will play out here. The DUP might roll to this what's going through the Assembly. We're being forced down our throats, this Irish language, but they're only wanting to use it as a sectarian tool, as a tool of division to cause problems here in Northern Ireland. That's what the IRA want to do as part of their nation-building strategy. Shane Walsh, he said that he wants to green Northern Ireland street by street using Irish language. Now, we had these conversations before. We had this out with the DUP before, and in the new decade, New Deal approach, well, what they did was they agreed to an Irish language commissioner. Now, I hear them saying that it's part of one package. It's part of a wider cultural package. But right now, what is happening is that it only seems to be the Irish language which is being pushed by the Alliance Party, the Green Party, the SDLP. And if we see what the Ulster Unionist Party done last night, are the Ulster Unionists secretly pushing into place this Irish language? It beggars belief, people. It really beggars belief. So maybe this could work out for the TUV. We'll watch, we will wait, we will see, and we will watch with a hawk-like eye what happens over the next few days. And if the second thing happens, if the British government implements this over the heads of the Assembly, well, we'll have something to say about that too, because the DUP then would be placed in the position whereby that they would need to withdraw from the Assembly. They would need to make the only meaningful, proactive protest against British Unionists in Northern Ireland being made, once again, second-class citizens, having things thrust upon them, forced down their throats, and also being discriminated against and placed in the position whereby that a weaponized language will be used against them. And make no mistake about it, that's exactly what Republicans have planned. They have planned an assault on the British Unionist way of life using the Irish language. People, I would like to just play a short clip from Mary Lou whilst I get a document in my hand from the British government that not very many people have seen, that I have a copy of, and I'm going to read from this document. I'm going to tell you exactly what this document was and when it came into being. It came into being in December, the 15th of December in 1994. And I'll talk about, and I'll speak from the document, and I'll read from the document in a moment. But what I'm going to do, whilst I prepare, is that I'm going to play Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin being put behind the 8-ball to speak the Irish language. And just have a look at them. Like rabbits caught in a headlight. They panicked whenever someone asked them a question in Irish. Have a look at the video. Don't take my word for it. Watch it for yourselves. Now, before I play this video, I would like to ask the live chat to leave your messages of support. If you're new to the channel, give us a like, give us a love, share the channel to far and wide, because we have a great show lined up to this evening. We have plenty of revelations here, yet again, in the fashion that we normally do things. And as I say, give us a like, give us a share, tag people in the live chat, and ask people to come and join with our channel, because what we're going to do is that we're going to unfold something in a way that well, you can't argue with it, because we have a lot of video footage here, and we'll be stopping and starting as we go, pointing out the fact that these people, namely the Republican movement, what vile excuses for human beings are these people. And I make no apology for saying that. And we will show this in a conclusive way yet again this evening. I'm going to play from a video, and then we'll come back and we'll talk to the live. We'll not talk to the live chat. We'll get on with reading with this document. We'll not go to the live chat just yet.
An féidir sáilear a bhóid an dogm ceann tagéanta go háirithe í ceiste géilteide.
Well, dúirt ma Virginia ón tús gur ó géir ga an le go mé ó freastal ar chuirsaí Gaeilge ar cearta Gaeilge.
I'm going to play that again, and I want you to look at the expression on Mary Lou's face, and also Michelle O'Neill's face. Just look at the expression when they were asked the question in Irish. Here we go again.
An féidir sáilear a bhóid an dogm ceann tagéanta go háirithe í ceiste géilteide.
Well, dúirt ma Virginia ón tús gur ó géir ga an le go mé ó freastal ar chuirsaí Gaeilge ar cearta Gaeilge.
You've only got to laugh when you see things like that. It looks as if they were caught. They were caught out in terms of. Now, I would say that they've been fast tracked to Irish lessons to try to learn it. Look at Mary Lou's face here. You know, when asked the question in Irish. If you leave your messages on the live chat of what you think. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to read from a document, and we're going to show you what the document was. And it's bear with me for a second. I'm just going to take this down. And what we're going to highlight within this document is that we're going to highlight the principle of consent. We're going to take you back to where the peace process actually started, the run up to the peace process, exploratory dialogue between the government and British Unionists of all strands. And we've got here in our possession a document, and it says on this document, here it is here, on the camera, Northern Ireland Information Service, and I'll just read it here. It says, opening statement by Her Majesty's Government. And this was on the 15th of December in 1994. And this was the first time that loyalists actually went to meet the government with reference the peace talks, what was named as and called talks about talks. And it says that this is exploratory dialogue with the Progressive Unionist Party, the PUP, and the Ulster Democratic Party, the UUP. Now, I'm going to read from the very, very first page here, and I'm going to read just exactly what it said, and I'm focusing on consent and how that it was that when people were entering this so-called peace process, what was being sold to British Unionists was this thing of paramount importance, which was consent of the both communities. What it was consent, the principle of consent, and without cross-community support, without consent of the both communities, well, nothing can happen. Now, you could be forgiven for thinking today in 2021, as a result of the start of the year, when we had a protocol that was placed upon us, when we had a border placed in the North Channel, when we didn't get the same democracy as the rest of the United Kingdom, all because of the threat of violent republicanism, because of the threat of violence from republicanism. And we're going to take you down the line after we read this, and we're going to show you that often I would say that Republicans kill people. One in the markets, one in Short Strand in 2015. And yet they're still in our government, destabilising. Our British Unionist politicians are still propping them up. The Ulster Unionist Party join with them to fight against British Unionists and to implement things, to implement an IRA nation-building strategy. That's what the Ulster Unionists done. Let me read from this document. Introduction. The government's priority in Northern Ireland is to help achieve peace, stability, reconciliation and prosperity for all, the people of Northern Ireland, and to establish locally accountable democratic institutions carrying widespread support and acceptance within a wider framework of harmonious relations based on consent. Now, this is where it started. This is where the entire peace process started. This was a document that was handed to loyalists the first time that they went to Stormont to talk about what was known as talks about talks. And this was the British government's opening statement. Opening statement by the British government. And in the first paragraph, they were talking about everything was going to be done based upon the principle of consent, based upon consent. For the last 25 years, all sections of the community have endured violence and immeasurable human suffering. They have overwhelmingly rejected such violence and supported the principles of democracy and consent. Now it says it again here. For the past 25 years, all sections of the community have endured violence and immeasurable human suffering. They have overwhelmingly rejected such violence and supported the principle of democracy and consent, as it was set up or set out in the Downing Street Declaration. You see, communities were asked if they wanted to support the Downing Street Declaration. This happened in December of 1993. And across the length and breadth of 1993 was one of the most brutal years in the Troubles in Northern Ireland. There was a lot of things that happened in 1993. The Shankill bomb being one of the most gruesome things ever to happen. I mean, I stood on the Shankill 15 minutes after that bomb. One man that helps us here on this channel carried Sean Kelly from the bomb. You know, we seen these things. We seen what was happening, and people actually were of the impression that this has to stop, because people are recognizing no boundaries on the depths that they're prepared to stoop in order to get one over on the other community. And there was a sense of that this has to be brought to a close. This has to stop. And out of that, there was talks about this thing called the Downing Street Declaration. Now, there was the Gerry Adams and the John Hume talks, the Hume Adams Initiative, as what it was known as, that was going on at the time. And it was believed by Ian Paisley and James Molyneux that the Downing Street Declaration was being derived from the Hume Adams talks. Now, both Unionist parties, the Ulster Unionist Party and the DUP, they stood consistent in their opposition to the fact that the Hume Adams talks was drawing what was going to be in the Downing Street Declaration. And Paisley, he stood firm and he stood against it in opposition to the Downing Street Declaration because it was essentially a green document. And James Molyneux, I mean, whilst he opposed it on one day, as if by magic, the following day, all of a sudden, it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Now, there was a lot of talk in the country at the time about supporting this Downing Street Declaration, and some of the wording that was in the Downing Street Declaration, which brought forward the basis of these peace talks, the ceasefires and everything that went with it, these talks about talks, it was all based on the principle of consent. And it says it here, is that for the last 25 years, all sections of the community has endured violence and immeasurable human suffering. They have overwhelmingly rejected such violence and supported the principles of democracy and consent as set out in the Downing Street Declaration. Now, I'm going to go over a few pages and I'm going to read from something else. And this is a section in the document and they call it the principle of consent. Now, this was in December of 1994, when what was being sold and what was being pushed and what was being emphasized by the British government was the principle of consent. And in fact, whenever the Belfast Agreement happened, on the run-up to the Belfast Agreement, It was being sold by those who supported the agreement that the principle of consent would guarantee the place of British Unionists in Northern Ireland within the United Kingdom. The principle of consent is exactly what they called that thing, the only thing that British Unionists seemingly got from the Belfast Agreement. Let me read the principle of consent as outlined in this government document that was handed to Loyalists on the 15th of December in 1994, the first time that they were at Stormont in talks with the British government. The government's fundamental approach to the future of Northern Ireland is based on the right of self-determination and the principle of democratic consent, as set out in paragraph 4 of the Downing Street Declaration. The government reaffirms all its commitments in the Declaration together with its obligations under international agreements and guarantees which is given, including Northern Ireland's statutory constitutional guarantee. One more paragraph that I'm going to read, and then, and this is very, very important because we were sold a pup. The Belfast Agreement, it was a disguise. It was built for appeasement, swindle, and lies. And as you will see as we go on in this stream, the peace is a farce, the guns are still there, and London's afraid of another bomb square. And that's exactly why that Republicans are being appeased. That's exactly why that they can threaten to pull down the government. That's exactly why there's an unwillingness by the British government, the Irish government, or whatever other government to stand against these destabilizers. And as a result, British Unionists in Northern Ireland have been made second-class citizens, having been discriminated against, having our democracy removed, and now having been separated from the rest of the United Kingdom, having a border in the North Channel. Let me read this final paragraph and then we'll move on. The government welcomes the parallel commitments on behalf of the Irish government to these principles in paragraph 5 of the Downing Street Declaration. Now here's an admission that the Irish government, they have given a commitment to the principle of consent. But yet I hear Leo Varadkar telling British Unionists that the protocol has to stay. I hear Simon Coveney say exactly the same thing. I hear Micheál Martin telling us that there's no other way. But here's what it says in this document of paramount importance. It says that the government welcomes the parallel commitments on behalf of the Irish government to these principles in paragraph 5 of the Downing Street Declaration. It believes these principles have the support of the people throughout both parts of the island of Ireland. Now, what were those principles? The government's fundamental approach to the future of Northern Ireland is based on the right of self-determination and the principle of democratic consent as set out in paragraph 4 of the Downing Street Declaration. The Irish government signed up to that. They signed up to that. And I believe that they're in breach of their commitments in this document, and it clearly outlines it. The peace is a farce. The Downing Street Declaration, the Belfast Agreement, it was a disguise. It was built for appeasement, swindle, and lies. The peace is a farce. The guns are still there, and London's afraid of another bomb scare. London's afraid of another bomb scare. That, my friends, game, set, and match, without shadow of doubt, without contradiction, is the threat of violence which is being used to heap discrimination on British Unionists here in Northern Ireland. And we shouldn't be taking this. Our British Unionists, the people in power, those that we elected, they shouldn't be taking this. When is enough enough? We will be watching not just the UUP, but the DUP with a hawk-like eye over the coming days. We'll be watching their every move. And there may come a time, people, I know that unionism is in crisis right now, but there may come a time when collectively we as people will need to get behind British Unionist politicians who will offer to fight for our survival in a meaningful, proactive way, in a way that will defend, protect, and enhance our place in the United Kingdom. The coming days will tell a huge tale. And this is me appealing to the DUP right now. Get up off your knees, fight for the people, stand with the people, and tell the government, tell the Irish government, tell the EU that we can't be part of this. We can't be part of this appeasement process. We will not be part of this appeasement process anymore until such times as British Unionists are returned to being first-class citizens and not being discriminated against in our own land. I'm setting this document down, and we'll publish some of that for people to see in the coming days. And there's more documents of similar nature, which I just happen to be in possession of, and I will be reading from them as the weeks and weeks go forward. But that is a very, very important document that I just read of. That was what was being proposed by the British government, and there you have in it that the Irish government have signed up to the principle of consent. But right now, what they are in contravention, complete contravention and in dereliction of what it was that they signed up to. This is a farce. And our British Unionists, those that we elect, well, they are working within it. And to be honest, it stinks. It stinks to the high heavens. I'm going to move on. And in the fashion, which I normally do, which we normally do, we can't discount the people who works in the background, who helps with all of this stuff, who works tirelessly to bring you these type of shows. And we can't discount those people. And we tried to get Paul Barry to come on this evening for some commentary on the Ulster Unionist Party. Paul would have loved to have come on, but unfortunately he's got some council meetings this evening. But what we will do is that we will have Paul on at a future date. So what I'm going to do right now, and the numbers are high, and don't forget, if you're new to our channel, give us a like, give us a share, give us a love, share the channel, tag people into the channel to ensure that this stream ends up being shared as far and as wide as humanly possible. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play from another video. And as you'll have noted, we have taken to using cover versions of songs to get a message across, songs with meaning. So I'm just going to play this, and then I'll be back on the back of this to move on with the rest of what it is that we're here to do. And it's a follow-up from what I've just been saying, that the peace is a farce, the guns are still there, and London is afraid of another bomb scare. Remember those words. Remember those words. And I would ask each and every one who's watching here this evening to pay particular attention to both the words of this song and also the video clips and the pictures that run right through this little video. I'll be back on the other side of this.
They say the skies of Lebanon are burning, those mighty cedars bleed in the heat. They're showing pictures on the television, women, children dying in the street. And we're still at it in our own place, still trying to reach the future through the past, still trying to carve tomorrow from a tombstone. But hey, don't listen to me, 'cause this wasn't meant to be no sad song. I've heard too much of them before. Right now I only wanna be here with you until the morning dew comes falling. Yeah. I wanna take you to the island, trace your footprints in the sand, and in the evening when the sun goes down, we'll make love to the sound of the ocean. They're raising banners over by the markets, whitewashing slogans on our shipyard walls, witch doctors praying for a mighty showdown. There's no way our holy flag is gonna fall. Up here we sacrifice our children, warn our dreams of yesterday, and teach them dying will lead us into glory. But hey, don't listen to me, this wasn't meant to be no sad song. I've sung too much of them before. Right now I only wanna be here with you until the morning dew comes falling. I wanna take you to the island, trace your footprints in the sand, and in the evening when the sun goes down, we'll make love to the sound of the ocean. I wanna take you to the island, trace your footprints in the sand, and in the evening when the sun goes down, we'll make love to the sound of the ocean. I wanna take you to the island, trace your footprints in the sand, and in the evening when there's no one around, we'll make love to the sound of the ocean. And in the evening when there's no one around, we'll make love to the sound of the ocean.
Well, what did you think whenever you looked at that video? Whenever you see children being used and abused and indoctrinated into an evil, murderous ideology, used by more sinister men. Those children brought up in a murderous ideology. What type of people are they? What type of excuses for human beings are they? And I draw your attention to one thing, and we'll use these words again. The peace is a farce. The guns are still there, and London's afraid of another bomb scare. And it's the threat of violence which has us, as British Unionists, being discriminated against right now, that has a border in the North Channel, which has a protocol. It's the threat of IRA violence They haven't gone away, you know. And what you will have seen in that video clip is that in 2019, you will have seen 2 sets of IRA men linked to the Gerry Adams conglomerate of Sinn Féin linked IRA. You will see 2 sets of guns on the streets of West Belfast, shooting, firing for someone that had died. 2019, the peace is a farce. The guns are still there, and London's afraid of another bomb scare. Yet our DUP, they're in stormont with this criminal gang who killed people in 2015, one in the markets and one in Short Strand, who are still capable of bringing guns onto the streets. Yet that's okay. That's okay. And it is these very people which are threatening us right now, that if they don't get what they want with reference their nation building bag of tools, their destabilizing toolkit, which is namely this Irish Language Commissioner, if they don't get that, but they're calling it an Irish Language Act, if they don't get that, well, they're going to collapse Stormont. Let them collapse it. Let them collapse it. That's what I say. Let them collapse it. Because any self-respecting British Unionist leader should have no part in playing a part in their electorate being discriminated against. And that's what they would be doing. That's what they would be doing. They would be playing a huge part in ensuring that British Unionists are and will be continuously discriminated against because of the threat of IRA violence. Let me play this little video clip here. Let me play this video clip for people to see again. 2019, IRA guns, D Company of the IRA in the Lower Falls. And then there was a clip in that past video where you seen a veteran of D Company standing with an IRA uniform on, negotiating with the police, the PSNI. You couldn't make this up. Watch this video.
Julian! Julian! Julian!
I'm going to play that again. And the reason why I want to play that again is, let's talk over it first here for one moment. Here we have the flag of the Irish state. Do you remember the Irish state that I told you that they had committed to the principle of consent in exploratory dialogue in 1994, the 15th of December 1994, a document here by the British government puts them in the frame where they have agreed and committed to the principle of consent. But right now, they are not upholding that principle of consent. That is an Irish flag. That is the flag of the Irish state. That is on an IRA man's coffin. When have we ever heard the Irish government say that not using our flag, terrorism should not be linked to the Irish state? When have we ever heard that been said? We have never heard that. Never heard that. Are they in cahoots? Are they part and parcel of the same pan-nationalist front? Are they part and parcel of the push to discriminate against British Unionists? Are they part and parcel? Well, I seen a document and I read a document where they had committed to the principle of consent. And I read it out, and I will read it out before that we finish here. So let's just play this again. And note, there's a man with nothing on his face. Nothing on his face. There's a man with a gun to the right of the coffin, and there's another man with a balaclava on. Clearly, IRA terrorists. Now, watch the man with his face clearly showing that he has a pair of surgical gloves on. And maybe he forgot himself when he clapped. Maybe he forgot himself when he clapped and he showed that he's part of that thing that happened there, that show of strength, that Colour Party firing over that coffin in 2019, people. The peace is a farce. The guns are still there, and London's afraid of another bomb scare. Let's play this again.
Hold up. Still again. Still again. Still again.
And let's play it one more time, and I will stop it, and I will talk about things that I see in that video. Why has that man not been arrested? He had surgical gloves on. He was part of this terrorist operation. Why is that man not arrested? Look, clearly there's a hierarchy of rights for these people, because the peace is a farce. The guns are still there, and London's afraid of another bomb scare.
Hold up. Still again.
Now listen to the Irish language being used. Listen to them using their Irish language. Is this what Irish language is consistent with? Is this what it lines up with? Is this what Irish language is being used for? Is this what Gaelic is being used for? You know, I remember speaking to a professor of the Irish Gaelic language from Dublin, a man called Kieran O'Quigley, and he tells me that Long Cash Irish is what these people are using. Long Cash Irish, Gaelic. And if you go and you listen to Shane Walsh talk about how that he's going to use the language to destabilise the place, to green Northern Ireland street by street, using the experience of what they did in the Basque country, they will seek to use Irish Gaelic language to destabilise Northern Ireland, to make Northern Ireland unworkable. That's what they want. That's what their aims are. And don't let anyone tell you that it isn't. Listen to these people using Irish Gaelic language. Now, this offends me, what I see right here. This should offend every right-minded person. And the reason why this offends me is that these people have been given a hierarchy of rights because of the threat of violence. And the Irish government are in cahoots with them. Not saying that our flag shouldn't be there. The flag of our country, not in our name, not under our flag. But they don't say it, do they? Let's play this one more time, and then we're going to move on with some more videos.
Hold up. Still again. Still again. Still again.
Let's remove that from the screen. And there you have it. 2019, the peace is a farce. The guns are still there, and London's afraid of another bomb scare. What self-respecting British Unionist would work along with Sinn Féin when they have a private army armed to the teeth outside the door threatening violence? What sort of a fair process is that when all they have to do is threaten violence and they can coercively control the British government into giving them what they want? Enough is enough, people. Enough is enough. We're going to move on, and we're going to remind some people using a poem, and it'll give me time to prepare and move on and show how that these people, not only are they blackmailers, not only are they criminals, not only are they terrorists, not only are they engaged in psychological warfare right now, as per the words of Spike Murray, when he said that the battle now isn't physical. This is me paraphrasing, the battle is for the narrative. That's what he said. These people are in place for one thing and one thing only, and that is to destroy Northern Ireland and British Unionism and the United Kingdom. That's what they're in place for. And yet our weak-willed politicians, because of their unwillingness to stand up against this, we find ourselves in the unpalatable situation whereby that we are being discriminated against. Now, let me say this for the people that I would know who are Catholics, the people that I would know who are nationalists, who often come and watch this screen. Now, this is me in a forceful way this evening, showing who these people are, showing that these people are not conducive to reconciliation, to peace and reconciliation. All these people are here for is to destabilize, and namely the IRA, the Republican movement. That's what they are doing to the people of Northern Ireland. They are setting back reconciliation for many, many years. So listen to my words very, very carefully, is that I could never reconcile with those people. I could never stand alongside those people. And why? Well, I stood on the Shankill Road. I stood on the Shankill Road 15 minutes after the Shankill bomb, not knowing that a man as close as a brother was in that bomb, along with his partner and his child. And yet these unrepentant people who caused this are still destabilising Northern Ireland. I was on the Upper Crumlin Road at the age of 7. I watched an IRA gun perforate the back of another man, all because he was a Protestant, all because he was from another community, an innocent man. And I asked the question, should any 7-year-old child have to see that? What price peace? What price peace? Being constantly blackmailed by IRA terrorists? Is that the cost of peace? And the unwillingness of governments, two governments, and the EU, the British government, the Irish government, the unwillingness of those people to take these parasites off the backs of ordinary people for once and for all. What price peace? What price peace? That is too high of a price for me. What is too high of a price for me is the fact that I have been separated from the United Kingdom. My Britishness is diminished. My Britishness is constantly being demonized by these people. And because of the threat of violence, the peace is a farce, the guns are still there, because they still have guns, because that they can threaten to blow up, well, it doesn't matter. British Unionists are being totally discriminated against. And to my nationalists and Catholic friends, you ask yourself, you know me, I am quite friendly with you people. Never ever have I ever a bad word to say. In fact, when we're together, we get on very well. But do we have to take this from these people, these destabilizers? What price peace? I'm going to play from a little video, and I'm asking people, this is a poem written by Jim Verner. I added the end piece to it. And listen to the words of this poem whilst we prepare and whilst we move on and we play, we show some more of this. We show some more of this. And again, I'm asking, give us a like, give us a share, share the channel, tag people, and we'll play some more once we come back off to the back of this poem. And then what we will do is that we'll move on to the live chat and we'll talk to people, and we'll stay for a while and we'll let people have their say on what exactly they have just seen. Over to the poem, and then I'll be back. I can't help but wonder why so many people, they had to die for being British in our own land, murdered by cowards with their evil hand. The IRA crept back to their bed after leaving so many people dead. A soldier a cop, a father, a son, a woman, a child, just anyone. But the Unionist people, they did not lie down, fought and defended the red hand and the crown. We stood proud, ready and able. The IRA cried to come to the table. The Belfast Agreement, it was a disguise. It was built for appeasement, swindle and lies. The peace is a farce, the guns are still there, and London's afraid of another bomb scare. Appeasement after appeasement, day after day, provosts in government still getting their way, and our two big parties, well, what can I say? They are sitting in Stormont with the IRA, not listening to the people who put them in place. They ask for support, then they lie to your face. A united Unionist party, some say we need, but there's too much corruption, lies and greed. I can't help but wonder why so many people, they had to die for being British in our own land. You can never shake a terrorist's hand. Think of our country, the red hand on the crown. Listen to the people, stop letting us down. Our leaders have blown the chance to make things right. The whole of unionism, I mean the people, we must unite. So we reach out again with offer of partnership. No time for politicians hell-bent on dictatorship. No puppets, no lackeys, our people deserve better. We will not be sucked in with promises in letter. Meaningful and proactive is the only game in town. We long for a day when politicians stop letting us down. You have one more chance at putting things right. But this time we demand that you stick to the fight. A roadmap must be drawn, agreed by everyone. No hierarchy, no pulling rank is exactly what must be done. An army of people must be put together with weapons of words, which will remain and abide forever. United we stand, divided we most definitely fall. So, moving on, with much more of the same type of stuff I have to add. I'm going to add another little video here to the stream, and I'm going to do it in a way that what we can do is that we can stop and start the video as we go, and we'll talk about it as we go on. The subject being, yet again, child abuse, using children to do their dirty work. And we should have been better prepared for this evening, and we could have shown the IRA child soldiers who would have taken part in murder. And that happened. What type of sinister men would do that to a child? What type of sinister people are they? What type of warped and twisted individuals are these people? And yet we are held to ransom by these people. Our whole existence is held to ransom by these people. Our government is held to ransom. They pulled the government down in Northern Ireland for 3 years to get their IRA nation building tool, which is the Irish language, the Gaelic, the Long Kesh Irish, the IRA Language Act. That's what they want. They want nothing more, nothing less. They want the tools to destabilise Northern Ireland. Now, isn't it a pity that there are people who speak Irish who are genuine decent people, but as a result of the IRA having defiled it, having made it a weapon, a lot of people from within our community, they detest it. They will learn and live to detest it even more. And what type of British unionist would invite that into our society? I see that there's one was on the Queen's Honours list just a few days ago for for bringing this weapon into this Trojan horse in amongst us to destabilise us. And I make no apologies for saying that. I don't say it, I only say it because I know I have looked at their strategies, I have seen what they've been doing, I have spent a lot of time looking at the Irish Gaelic language, I have spent time studying their nation building strategy. And only a fool would, like the Ulster Unionist Party, only fools, only clowns would stand alongside this in a way which promotes it into place for the purpose of destabilising Northern Ireland and the British Unionist people in the process. Remember Shane Walsh's words, that he wants to green Northern Ireland street by street using the Irish Gaelic language. I'm going to play from another little video, and I'm going to stop it and start it and talk as we go on. Now remember, people, these people that would do such a thing, they're extreme. They are extremists. They are extremists to the core. They are fundamentalists. They are, frankly, psychos. They are nut jobs. What type of psycho would Shane Walsh? This was his words. And these are his words. He was a dirty protester. He's the man that drawed the current Irish language nation building tool strategy, the nation building strategy. What type of a man was Shane Walsh? Let me explain. Well, you see, he said, and this is his words and it's slightly paraphrased, but he said that he didn't have any weapons available. He was in the maze and he used his excrement, the dirt coming out of his backside, to spread all around his cell walls. And he lived in that with the blue bottles and the flies that it would have created and the health hazards and everything else. And he said that he had no other weapon available to him to fight the British presence in Ireland. Words to that effect. That's me paraphrasing. But that's the nature of what he said. Now ask yourself a question. What type of animal, firstly, is that? What type of nutjob is that? What type of extremist is that? And yet these are the people that are holding us to ransom. Knock, knock, Ulster Unionist Party. Is there anyone in there? Knock, knock, DUP. Is there anything between your ears when you permit these extremists to hold Northern Ireland to ransom without a meaningful, proactive fight back? Let me play this video and we will show yet again, who these people are, who the people are that are holding us to ransom.
Clap your hands. If you hate the British Army, clap your hands. If you hate the British Army, hate the British Army, hate the British Army, clap your hands.
They come down from Bellamorphy when they come. They come down from Bellamorphy when they come. Sure, the children won the day when they all ran away. They were only little children, every one. We don't want the British Army here to stay. We don't want the British Army here to stay. We don't want to be defended by an army that surrendered when the kids of Bellamorphy came to play. Oh, the general, he has fainted. Is he dead? Oh, the general, he has fainted. Is he dead? Or have the women joined the fight? We'll wipe the army out tonight, for them women are all Bellamorphy bred. A coded message come from nowhere, it did say, at the peril of your lives if you stay. For now, men, don't be surprised, for Third Lodge is organised and the double-decker bus is on its way. The British Army, they will never be the same. The British Army, they will never be the same. The bravest of them fighting men, they were beat by kids of 10. Bellamorphy put the army to the shame.
Well, if you hit the RUC, then clap your hands. If you hit the RUC, then clap your hands. If you hit the RUC, well, if you hit the RUC, if you hit the RUC, then clap your hands.
I'm just going to keep that on the screen for a moment. Whenever I look at that, whenever we hear the Sinn Féin people out there not too long ago talking about British Unionists, young people when they were out ratting a lot of weeks ago, and you hear them saying that they don't even know what they're ratting for. They're being used by sinister elements. They're being used by sinister people. I look at that, and I think to myself, well, yeah. Let's play it and let's.
British Army, clap your hands. If you hate the British Army, clap your hands. If you hate the British Army, hate the British Army, hate the British Army, clap your hands.
They come down from Bellamorphy when they come. They come down from Bellamorphy.
Right, just a few weeks ago, we had the Ballymurphy inquiry. When there was no one, everyone was innocent, and that's the type of thing that would have happened in Ballymurphy back in that day. So again, this lets people see. Now let me just do this. I'm trying to switch it the other way. So this will let people see what went on in Ballymurphy. And even when you see, there was the what was it they called them? They called them the Hen Patrol. The Hen Patrol was the women, and they taught the kids and the women how to be IRA terrorists. That's what they done. And yet they were all out getting a pint of milk. They were, they weren't in rats. This is the way it was. Just watch this, do you see? This was in Ballymurphy.
Ballymurphy when they come. Sure, the children won the day when they all ran away. They were only little children, everyone. We don't want the British Army here to stay. We don't want the British Army here to stay. We don't want to be defended by an army that surrendered when the kids of Bellamorphy came to play. Oh, the general, he has fainted. Is he dead? Oh, the general, he has fainted. Is he dead? Or the women.
All right, this is the beginnings. This is the Hen Patrol in their embryonic form. This is children, young ladies being indoctrinated into IRA warped and twisted ideology. This is what we're dealing with today in 2021. This is what's holding us to ransom. This is what, if they don't get their way, they will pull Stormont down. This is why I say that place is unworkable unless that the British government, unless the Irish government tell these people enough is enough. Reconciliation, peace between people, between ordinary decent people is too important to be destabilized by extremists, dirty protesters, people that are writing IRA nation building strategies, which includes greening Northern Ireland street by street, using and weaponizing the Irish Gaelic language. What part does our DUP not know? What part does our UUP not know about this bitter and twisted ideology which would use children in this fashion.
Join the fight, we'll wipe the army out tonight, for them women are all Murphy bred. A coded message come from nowhere, it did say, at the peril of your lives if you stay. For no men, don't be surprised, for Turf Lodge is organised, and the double-decker bus is on its way.
And then whenever you talk to veterans who was there on that, in and around those times, and you see how that they used mobs, lynch mobs of kids out throwing bricks and bottles and, against the British Army. And then the scum, they skulked in the background, and then they often fired upon, they used the kids as cover, and they fired upon the British Army. And this is the real truth about Northern Ireland. This, this not the rewritten history, which they're being permitted to get away with. Why don't we see this on Nolan? Why don't we hear about this on the Nolan show? Why don't we see this on the BBC? Why are BBC presenters not doing what the likes of myself would be doing and others? Why are we not telling the truth? Why are we not showing things for exactly the way they were? And why are we not calling things in a way that shows that evil, bitter and twisted IRA destabilizers are holding the whole of Northern Ireland to ransom? That if they don't get their way, well, the guns are still there. The pieces of farce, the guns are still there. Why are people not calling this for exactly what it is?
The British Army, they will never be the same. The British Army, they will never be the same. The bravest of them fighting men, they were beat by kids of 10. Murphy put the army to the shame.
Well, if you hit the RUC, then clap your hands. If you hit the RUC, then clap your hands. If you hit the RUC, well, if you hit the RUC, if you hit the RUC, then clap your hands.
There we go. That's why you see young kids being used today, out for protesting against, we want our Irish language. This is what happens. This is what these destabilizers actually do. So anyway, here we go. I'm just going to pop this up. John, you could find any rebel ballads about the Murph when the British Army cleaned their clock. Well, there you go. Yeah. So if you take a look at the weapon in your hand, you're no longer innocent. There you go. I see. Right. I look at it. If you take a weapon in your hand, you're no longer innocent. Absolutely, Ernest. Absolutely. Yeah, that's just the way that it is. So let's see. I'm just going to read this one. Sorry. Ask Goliath what David did to him with a stone. Remember, some of these soldiers were 18 and 17 years of age. Absolutely. It was when the kids suddenly disappeared that you had to watch out for. You knew it was coming then. Yeah. And many veterans would have said that. But yet it was the big bad British Army that came to destabilize. Here we go. Anyway, we have one more video clip to play, and then we'll go to the live chat. We put together something very comprehensive this evening to push home a point and to force and to show that any British Unionist politician that would stand idly by whilst these extremists, whilst they destabilise Northern Ireland, whilst they would prepare to use the Irish Gaelic language as a weapon to destabilise Northern Ireland, whilst they would threaten yet again to pull down our institutions unless that they get their nation building tool and their destabilising bag of tools. Any British Unionist that can't see that and that wants to think that they can work along with that, I say respectfully, think again. Think again. What you people would be better doing would be to turn back to looking after your own community, to turn back and to side with your own community, to turn back and to stand up for your own community, to turn back and to say to the British government, we will not be participating in anything that flows from the Belfast Agreement or the workings from the Belfast Agreement, including North-South, including, any talk with the EU. We will not be participating in this farce until we're suspending all workings, until the British Unionist people in Northern Ireland are returned to the place of being first-class citizens and not being discriminated against in their own land, with the protocol gone, with the border removed from the North Channel. Because if you don't, I believe from the bottom of my heart, and this is a message to our political leaders, I believe that not only will you destroy yourself and yourselves, but you'll do huge damage to the cause of British unionism and Northern Ireland's place in the United Kingdom. The politicians right now, they have a huge burden on their shoulders, and they really need to do the right thing. So we're going to play another little video. So we're going to play another little video, and we're going to add this. And I would encourage people, even after this stream is over, share it in the groups, share it amongst your friends. Tell people to come and see the real truth of who the sinister people are, who the destabilizers are, who the child abusers are, who the blackmailers are, who the real ogres of the peace are. Let's play this little video, and we'll stop it at some very important points. But this again is a video which shows you and shows everyone what we're up against. And can we work with them? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They should be left to the British government and the Irish government and the European Union and the Americans collectively to tell these people that enough is enough, that we're not taking this anymore, and there's commitments there that everybody should be equal, subject to and equal under the same law. And we have a document here which shows that the Irish government have signed up to the principle of consent. Right now, they are not acting in a way that is consistent with what it is that they've signed up to. And we'll go back to that document before that we close this evening. So on to another video.
Fathers and brothers and sisters, and I'm amazed at how good the children are and how they come to recognize that their own fathers and brothers are very honorable people, and that they come to recognize that this is a price that must be paid if you want to do anything in life. So you don't get anything good without suffering for it.
Desi Wilson.
I'm just going to say that he's talking about the kids, and he's saying that they come to the point where they recognize that their fathers and their brothers and they're good people, and you don't get anywhere in life unless you're prepared to suffer for it. Now just listen to who this man is. Is this another warped and twisted individual?
Is a Catholic priest whose political activism led to a falling out with the church. So today, his parish is in the streets and his altar is in his home.
I'd like to remember most especially all the people who are trying to bring peace and justice into this country, and very especially the people who have suffered for it, very especially all the people who are in prison. Fathers and brothers and sisters.
So there you'll have seen it, a Catholic priest who is talking up the IRA, and you don't get anywhere unless you're prepared to suffer for it, who's promoting what the IRA were doing, and you see that he's access to children. I wouldn't have that man anywhere near a child. I mean, that in itself, imagine having that near your child. So we'll just play on here again. It's only a short clip, and we'll stop it as we go.
And I'm amazed at how good the children are and how they come to recognize that their own fathers and brothers are very honorable people, and they come to recognise that this is a price that must be paid if you want to do anything in life. You don't get anything good without suffering for it.
Desi Wilson is a Catholic priest whose political activism led to a falling out with the church. So today, his parish is in the streets and his altar is in his home.
I'd like to remember most especially all the people who are trying to bring peace and justice into this country, and very especially the people who have suffered for it, very especially all the people who are in prison.
All the people that are bringing peace and justice to this country, all the people that are in prison and the people who have suffered for it, you know. So he'd like to remember the IRA terrorists, the extremists, the dirty protesters, the people that hadn't got weapons and they would take the excrement from their backsides and spread it on their cell walls. I mean, what type of extremists are these people? So there you go. There you go. I think what we've done this evening is we've explored the ideology. We've explored who they are, what it is they do, what it is they're prepared to do, who it is that they're prepared to indoctrinate. Even they're prepared to twist and warp the minds of children in pursuit of their evil ideology. This is who these people are. And right now, they're prepared to bring down the Stormont Assembly. They're prepared to bring it down, causing problems to health and services. And they don't care whether there's a cancer patient in their own side of the fence. If you're a Catholic or a nationalist, they don't care about you. All they care about is pushing their will on ordinary decent folk. And that's no matter why those ordinary decent folk come from the Catholic persuasion, the nationalist persuasion, or if you're in any shape or fashion a British Unionist living here in Northern Ireland. So there you go, people. There you go. We're coming to a close. If you would like to leave some messages, so anything that I'm just going to flip through the live chat. Here's one here. And again, if you'd like to leave some live chat there, I'll flip through and I'll see if there's anything that we can pop up. I've got hay fever this evening. I'm all stuffed up. You've got to excuse me. I was out working under trees and in the countryside today, and I'm all stuffed up. So every man, woman and child has a right to live in a society in which the IRA does not exist in any militant or political form, where it can only be found in the page of a history book. Yeah. It beggars belief. Every man, woman and child has the right to live in a society in which the IRA does not exist in any militant or political form. And yet we've seen in 2019 that the pieces of forest, the guns are still there, and London's afraid of another bomb scare on a couple of occasions in 2019. And yet these people are still in our government. It was Kid Sonny disappeared that you had to say about them. I'm looking through here for some things that we can pop up here. Hello. The ones who signed up the Solus pub. Yeah, with Police Service of Northern Ireland. I'm just reading through some of this stuff. I'll just pop this here up. You know, shame on them. Absolutely, Billy. Shame on them. I'm just reading through some more here to see can I get anything. I just have to read this before I pop it up, so if you just bear with me. Yeah. So I'll just pop that up by Lisa Phillips. What do you think of Fianna Fáil starting up here? As for the Irish language, why would anyone up here want to speak it when very few people speak it in the South? It's a dead language that will cost millions, which could be used for so many other things. Now, also, Fine Gael, the party of Leo Varadkar, Simon Coveney, they are now going to open up here in Northern Ireland. Now, does that actually tell us, does that give us a picture of what is envisaged for Northern Ireland? Let me remind you of something that happened in 1990. When the then Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, a man called Peter Brooke, Well, he said that Britain had no selfish, strategic, or economic interest here in Northern Ireland. Those words were reiterated again in 1993 by the then Secretary of State, Sir Patrick Mayhew, when he said exactly the same thing, that Britain had no selfish, strategic, or economic interest in Northern Ireland. Are we on a pathway right now, which begun at the start of the year with the protocol being put in place? Are we on a pathway in where that it is agreed between the British government, the Irish government, the globalists, that Northern Ireland is now a Hong Kong in waiting? All of a sudden, Leo Varadkar, what did he say in something that I read today? He said that he wants to see Irish unity, and Fine Gael is going to open up here in Northern Ireland. Now, I'm going to say it would be a good thing, and I'll tell you why it would be a good thing. Because it'll split the Republican vote, it'll split the vote, and that would be only good for British unionism. And then we've seen at the very, very start how that it is, and let's remind people of our own Ulster Unionist Party. The clowns. What did they do? They joined the other team. They joined with Sinn Féin to put in place a nation-building language which is weaponized, which they will use to destabilize Northern Ireland. They implemented it in Stormont. They used their vote to vote against British unionism and to cause detriment to the people of Northern Ireland. To spend money, by the way, that would be better off being put into hospitals and schools, when money is actually short at the minute. So let's go on down as we go. They threaten us to remember who controls the electricity. Well, there's and now we're linked to the electricity grid in the south. He who controls the power, Eleanor. I'm just going down. I'm looking for some interesting. They want to make sure that Unionist people could never switch off the electric again, like they did in the 1970s. Yeah, they wanted to make sure the Unionist people could never switch off the electric again as they did in the 1970s. Right, I'm just actually going to go through some of the live chat here, looking for some things that it can pop up. So the friendly sentence labs. Let me see. You've got to excuse me. I'm just reading through the live chat. I've got to be very, very. I want to be able to read from the live chat, and I have to ensure that I'm going to put things up on the platform that I can say. Soon it became yes, and Roman Shoulders there, and Martin. Yeah, I have to put this up by Tommy Lloyd. We all remember Paisley's Never, Never, Never speech outside the City Hall. All too soon it became yes, yes, yes when he was rubbing shoulders with his pal, Martin McGuinness. Yeah. We're all sickened by that, Tommy. We are all sickened by that. That is the truth. And we are genuine people. I mean, we recognize that you have to reach out into the other community. You have to reconcile with people. You have to try to persuade people to join you politically in order that you save the United Kingdom. Yeah, that has to be done. But you don't have to reconcile with the extremes, the child abusers, those that would seek to destroy the place. You don't have to reconcile with those people. I will never, ever, ever reconcile with those people. Never. Anyone who thinks that you could be right. Just have to read things here. The DP are much lower. And I have to put this up. As much as it pains me to read this out, I can't disagree. The DUP are much lower than their knees. They are flat out on their backsides. True and late father told me that there was not an officer based in the MOD. They're not on their knees in Bangkok. Again, I'm just looking for live chat, and then we're going to close with a few. We'll close with the video that we played at the start, and would like people to look at it because it was an interesting video, and also we'll be playing us out with a couple of patriotic songs. Right, again, I'm just going to pop this up from Alan Cummings. I've always said it was a false peace process, a journey by Sinn Féin, IRA and nationalist parties alike to achieve their goal of unification, with the threat of violence as a backstop to not getting their way. And right now we see it. The peace is a farce. The guns are still there, and London's afraid of another bomb scare. We'll have to keep emphasising that, because that is exactly how that it is. That is how it is. So, yeah, and I'm just going to pop this up here from JJ Jones. John, great analysis as ever. You and your team have nailed it. You certainly are restoring faith and hope within the British Unionist community. We need to keep protesting and keeping the pressure on our handsomely paid politician. Keep the faith. NI 100 GB. And well said, JJ. Maybe Mr. Allen, let me see, how do you, I'm just looking for some more stuff that I can use as I go down. Sure, their guns are always out there a few weeks ago for some. Oh, yes, there you go. Absolutely, Lindy. Their guns were out a few weeks ago for some creature that died and no police near them, yet again. And if you're a British Unionist, you have every right to be absolutely disgusted and sickened with reference to what is happening in a so-called democratic country. And especially whenever the principle of consent is the thing that was being sold to each and every one of us. And yet this principle of consent has been demonized, diminished, demolished. We don't have it. We don't have that principle of consent. It doesn't work for British Unionists. And why should we ever accept a border poll, ever? Because we voted in the Brexit referendum, 17.4 plus billion people voted in that referendum, and our democracy wasn't actually upheld. So I'm looking for more live chat again, just as I go. So I'm just going to go down to the end of the live chat. There's a lot of live chat, and thank you very much for taking the time to leave the live chat. It's kind of impossible to go through it whenever you're playing these videos and you're speaking at the same time. So let me see. It has been plain to see now for quite some time, but no one wants this, and a thorn in their side. Yeah. I'll just refrain from putting that up. But yes, Dave, you're right. But I'll not put it up on our screen. Thought it quite funny. Somebody spoke to Michelle Mary Lou in Irish and couldn't answer. Absolutely, Gail. I'm just looking again as I go. So here we go. What we're going to do is that from Roy Sloan, they want the United Ireland and the British money to keep coming. People, keep your stuff going on to the live chat. I want to thank each and every one for coming along. The numbers have stayed really, really high this evening. I'll have to get something into me from a hay fever. I'm really, really bad this evening. And then what I'll do is that I'm going to play us out with one of the videos that we played at the start. And I'm going to encourage people to watch this video, and then we'll play us out with a couple of patriotic songs as we normally do. So watch the content of this video. Just keep, watch it. It's worth watching. And listen to the words of the song as it happens. And thanks very much. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for supporting the channel. I nearly forgot something. And I'm going to do that now. And again, we ask this for people to support our work. Here we go. There's a Restore UK. You'll see that PayPal link that I'm popping up, and that's at Restore UK on Facebook. That's on the British Unionist People's Voice. You'll find that in our live chat. And again, if you can pop a couple of pounds in there, it actually helps with our work. It helps us to get better. It helps us, it'll help us do the things that we want to do, whether that be with websites, with the capability of streaming to the website, technology, new technology. I would love to be able to pay someone to do this full time. Look at what we do on a part-time basis. Look what we do. Imagine people were funded to do this full time. What a fight back that we could mount if we were funded by small amounts by as many people that could fund us. You know, wouldn't it be great if we had a full-time team working on this? And that's where your money would go if you can help do that. So also what I'm actually going to do before I go and before we play us out with these patriotic songs, what I also want to do is I want to copy this, copy link address, and go back to the comments. And here's what we're going to do now. Yep, well said, Bob. I'm just about to do that now. So, and also what you will find is there's links now to our little badges. That's one of our little badges here. And by purchasing one of those protest badges, you're actually helping our work. Now, let me just do this. I'll remove myself from the screen for a second, and you're going to see a big badge on the screen. So if you would like to purchase any of those badges with that design, No Irish Sea Border, Restore UK, if you would like to, that would also go towards actually helping our work. Now, again, what I'm going to is I'm going to go to some little, just to let you see the badges in the flesh, so to speak. This is the badges here. You can purchase one of those badges from the British Unionist People's Voice on Facebook, on Restore UK by clicking on the link and you know, just purchasing one of those badges. And lots of people have already bought them. So, and thank you very much for the support, for supporting us by purchasing one of those badges. You can purchase those Operation Banner badges, which was donated by Jim Werner to us, and again to help in our work. So yeah, thank you very much for the people that has done that so far, and to the people that will do that in the future. So people, we're coming to a close, and please leave your messages of support in the live chat. Tell us what you thought of tonight. You know, tell us what you think that we need to be doing in the future. And we've got some really, really interesting shows lined up for the future. And whilst we thought we had to do this evening, I thought we had to actually impress upon people who that it is that is holding this entire country to ransom with the threat of violence, who they are. They're child abusers. You know, they indoctrinate children into their evil ideology, and they use those children past, present, and no doubt in the future they will continue to use those children. Sinister men using children, twisting and warping those children's minds when those children should be children. They won't let them be. Playing us out with a few songs. So here we go. Over to something that we played at the very, very start. And thanks very much for coming along. Until the next time, who knows, you might get us again across the weekend. Or if not, we'll see you all on Monday night and we'll advertise well in advance. So please continue to leave your messages on the screen. Give us a like, give us a love. If you're new to the channel, ensure that you do that. And that way we can get to invite you to our channel. So here we go. We're going to play us out with a couple of playlists that we played at the start, and then we're going to play a serious video again with a cover version, and we'll play us out with a patriotic song. Good night, people. Thanks very much for coming along. Until next time.
Say the skies of Lebanon are burning, those mighty cedars bleed in the heat. They're showing pictures on the television, women, children dying in the street. And we're still at it in our own place, still trying to reach the future through the past, still trying to carve tomorrow from a tombstone. But hey, don't listen to me, 'cause this wasn't meant to be no sad song. I've heard too much of them before. Right now I only wanna be here with you until the morning dew comes falling. Yeah. I wanna take you to the island, trace your footprints in the sand, and in the evening when the sun goes down, we'll make love to the sound of the ocean. They're raising banners over by the markets, whitewashing slogans on our shipyard walls, witch doctors praying for a mighty showdown. There's no way our holy flag is gonna fall. Up here we sacrifice our children, warn our dreams of yesterday, and teach them dying will lead us into glory. But hey, don't listen to me, this wasn't meant to be no sad song. I've sung too much of them before. Right now I only wanna be here with you until the morning dew comes falling. I wanna take you to the island, trace your footprints in the sand, and in the evening when the sun goes down, we'll make love to the sound of the ocean. I wanna take you to the island, trace your footprints in the sand, and in the evening when the sun goes down, we'll make love to the sound of the ocean. I wanna take you to the island, trace your footprints in the sand, and in the evening when there's no one around, we'll make love to the sound of the ocean. And in the evening when there's no one around, we'll make love to the sound of the ocean.
We are searchlights we can see in the dark. We are rockets pointing up at the stars. We are billions of beautiful hearts, and you sold us down the river too far. What about us? What about all the times you said you had the answers? What about us? What about all the broken happy ever afters? Oh, what about us? What about all the plans that ended in disasters? What about love? What about trust? What about us? We We are problems that want to be solved. We are children that need to be loved. We were willing, we came when you called, but man, you fooled us. Enough is enough. Oh, what about us? What about all the times you said you had the answers? What about us? What about all the broken happy ever afters? Oh, what about us? What about all the plans that ended in disasters? What about love? What about trust? What about us? Sticks and stones, they may break my bones, but then I'll be ready. Are you ready? It's the start of us waking up, come on. Are you ready? I'll be ready. I don't want control, I want to let go. Are you ready? I'll be ready. 'Cause now it's time to let them know we are ready. What about us? What about all the times you said you had the answers? What about us? What about all the broken happy ever after? Oh, what about us? What about all the plans that ended in disasters? What about love? What about trust? What about us? What about love? What about trust? What about us?
Just across the Irish Sea stirs a heart of loyalty, raising honor and indignity, drives a will to keep us British free. Not alone are we on this journey, for in a land just across the sea is a hand that reaches out of friendship, and a bond that's lasted centuries. And its hands cross the water, reaching out for you and me, for Queen Ulster and for Scotland, help to keep our loyal people free. Let the cry be no surrender, let no one doubt our loyalty, reaching out to the brave red hand of Ulster is the hand across the sea. Help to keep our loyal people free. Let Let the cry be no surrender. Let no one doubt our loyalty. Reaching out to the brave red hand of Ulster is a hand across the sea. Just across the Irish Sea stirs a heart of loyalty, raising honor and dignity. Drive the will to keep us British free, not alone, only on this journey, or in a land just across the sea. It's a hand that reaches out in friendship. It's the hand across the sea. It's the hand across the sea. It's a hand across the sea.
By the way, I've been wondering what that special place in hell looks like for those who promoted Brexit.
We didn't join Europe to be swallowed up in some bureaucratic conglomerate where it's Euro this and Euro that and forget about being British. We're British and we're proud of it. Proud of our traditions, proud of our national character.